Imagine waking up one day and realizing that your life could feel entirely different. Not in months or years, but in just 1 week. That's exactly what happened to me when I stumbled into 7 habits that turned my world upside down in the best way possible. I'm not talking about the generic advice you've scrolled past 100 times on social media or skimmed in some self-help article. These aren't recycled platitudes about drinking more water or thinking positive. No, these are raw, real, and deeply personal habits that I carved into my daily routine through trial, error, and a whole lot of determination. I faced the groggy mornings, the moments of doubt, and the quiet victories. And what I discovered was nothing short of extraordinary. My productivity soared, my mental fog lifted, and I found a sense of peace I didn't even know I was missing. I'm beyond excited to share this journey with you because I truly believe these habits hold the power to spark the same kind of magic in your life. Whether you're craving a burst. Habit 1. Waking up early. Let's kick things off with the first habit that turned my world upside down: waking up early. I'll lay it all out for you. I was the poster child for late risers. My bed wasn't just a piece of furniture, it was my sanctuary, my loyal companion that I clung to every morning as if my life depended on it. The snooze button? Oh, we were on a first-name basis. I'd smack it repeatedly, half asleep, until I'd lost count of the times I'd begged for just 5 more minutes. Mornings were a whirlwind of chaos, stumbling out of bed, racing against the clock, and starting my day feeling like I'd already lost the race before it even began. I was perpetually frazzled, always one step behind, and honestly, it was exhausting. But then, something clicked. I decided to flip the script and give early mornings a real chance. And let me tell you, it was nothing short of revolutionary. I set my alarm for 5 a.m., a time that once sounded like a cruel joke to someone like me. Those first few days, brutal doesn't even begin to cover it. I'd peel myself from the sheets, groggy and disoriented, my body screaming in protest as I shuffled across the cold floor. I'd stare bleary-eyed at the dark window, questioning every life choice that led me to this moment. Was this really worth it? I wasn't so sure, but I gritted my teeth and powered through, determined to see it out. By day 3, something extraordinary happened. A spark ignited. I started to notice the magic woven into those early hours. The world was still asleep, wrapped in a blanket of silence that felt almost sacred. No honking cars, no buzzing notifications, just pure, unadulterated stillness. It was as if time slowed down just for me, offering a rare gift of peace I'd never known I was missing. With this newfound time, my mornings transformed from a frantic sprint into a gentle, intentional ritual. I began with light exercise, nothing hardcore, just enough to shake off the sleep. Some days, it was a few stretches in the living room, feeling my muscles wake up with each movement. Other days, I'd lace up my sneakers for a short jog around the neighborhood, the cool air brushing against my skin as the first hints of daylight peeked over the horizon. It wasn't just about getting my blood pumping. It was like flipping an internal switch, charging me with energy that carried me through the day. Then I'd carve out a few minutes for meditation. Sitting quietly, I'd focus on my breath, letting my mind settle as I set clear intentions for what lay ahead. Those moments of mindfulness were like planting seeds, small, deliberate acts that blossomed into a sharper focus and a calmer spirit as the hours unfolded. But the real surprise? The luxury of an unrushed start. No more scarfing down breakfast while juggling a million tasks. I had time to savor it all. A warm bowl of oatmeal, the steam curling up as I stirred in a drizzle of honey, or a slow sip of coffee that I could actually taste instead of chugging on autopilot. I'd sit with my notebook, mapping out my day with purpose, feeling like the captain of my own ship rather than a passenger swept along by the current. That shift in pace didn't just make me more organized. It melted away the stress that used to cling to me like a second skin. I felt in control, grounded, and ready to take on whatever came my way. One memory stands out like a beacon from that week. The morning I stepped onto my balcony to watch the sunrise. I'd wrapped myself in a blanket, coffee mug in hand, and stood there as the sky erupted into a symphony of color, soft pinks bleeding into fiery oranges, then giving way to a golden glow that bathed everything in warmth. The world was waking up, birds chirping faintly in the distance, and I just stood there, soaking it in. It wasn't just beautiful, it was profound. A wave of gratitude washed over me, not just for the scene unfolding before my eyes, but for the quiet courage it took to drag myself out of bed and claim this moment. That's when it hit me. Waking up early wasn't about punishing myself with a harsh schedule. It was about gifting myself a front-row seat to life's simplest, most breathtaking wonders. Now I get it. Early mornings aren't everyone's cup of tea, and I won't pretend they're a one-size-fits-all miracle. But hear me out. Give it a shot, even if just for a week. You don't have to leap straight to 5 a.m. like I did. Start small. Set your alarm 15 minutes earlier than usual, then nudge it back a bit more each day as you find your rhythm. Ease into it with something you enjoy. Maybe a warm drink, a favorite song, or a quick stretch to greet the day. What you'll discover isn't just extra hours. It's the chance to craft a morning that's yours alone. A sacred space where you can breathe, reflect, and step into your day. Habit 2. Daily exercise. Let's talk about habit number 2. Daily exercise. This one didn't just change my life. It ignited a revolution in how I see myself and the world around me. I'll be real with you. I was never the fitness guru type. In fact, I was the reigning champion of excuses when it came to working out. I'm too wiped out after work. Who has time for this? Oh, I'll definitely start tomorrow. Sound familiar? I'd bet it does. But one day, something snapped. I was tired of feeling sluggish, uninspired, and stuck in a rut. So, I made a bold promise to myself. Move my body every single day for a week. No exceptions. What happened next? Nothing short of extraordinary. I didn't dive in with some grueling, hour-long gym session I knew that would burn me out faster than a cheap candle. Instead, I started small, carving out just 20 minutes a day. I kept it fresh and fun, rotating between yoga flows, a jog through the neighborhood, and some light strength training with dumbbells I'd forgotten I owned. Variety was my secret weapon. I didn't want boredom to sneak in and sabotage my momentum. Those first few days? Brutal. My legs ached like I'd run a marathon. My arms protested every lift, and I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. But I clung to my why. This wasn't about a perfect physique. It was about feeling alive, shaking off stress, and reclaiming my energy. And then, by day 4, the magic kicked in. I woke up that morning, and instead of dragging myself out of bed like a zombie, I felt awake, alive. There was a spark in me I hadn't noticed before, my mood. It soared. The irritability that used to cling to me like a shadow started to fade, replaced by this unexpected wave of positivity. I realized those 20 minutes weren't just about torching calories or sculpting muscles. Exercise wasn't punishment, it was liberation. One memory stands out like a beacon. It was a crisp, golden morning, the kind where the air feels electric with possibility. I laced up my sneakers, hit the pavement for a jog, and something clicked. As my feet pounded the ground, the world opened up. The sky stretched endlessly above, the breeze danced through my hair, and my thoughts flowed freely. It was just me and the open road, no distractions, no demands. I felt this raw, unshakable connection to myself, a clarity I hadn't tasted in years. That run wasn't just exercise. It was a declaration of freedom, a moment where I remembered who I was beneath the daily grind. The physical perks started showing up too, almost like a bonus prize. My posture straightened. I caught myself standing taller, shoulders back, no longer hunched over like I was carrying the world's weight. My strength grew. Lifting groceries didn't feel like a Herculean task anymore. My stamina climbed. I could climb stairs without gasping for air. But the real transformation? It was in my head. Exercise became my sanctuary, a daily ritual where I could unplug from the noise of life and plug into me. It shifted from a have to a get to, a privilege, not a chore. Then there was yoga. Oh, how I underestimated it. I'd always brushed it off thinking, I'm not flexible enough, or that's not a real workout. But curiosity got the better of me, and I rolled out a mat one evening. The first session was humbling. My body creaked and resisted, and I wobbled through poses like a newborn deer. Yet, by the third try, I was hooked. Yoga wasn't just stretching. It was a conversation with my body. It taught me to slow down, to breathe with intention, to feel every muscle and every moment. One night, as I settled into a deep stretch, I closed my eyes and felt this overwhelming sense of presence, like I was truly here, not lost in yesterday's regrets. What I learned that week was profound. Caring for my body wasn't separate from caring for my mind. It was the same damn thing. Every step, every stretch, every lift sent ripples through my mental health, my happiness, my entire outlook. I started sleeping better, my focus sharpened, and even my patience grew. A miracle for someone who used to snap at slow Wi-Fi. It wasn't about chasing perfection or punishing myself into some idealized shape. It was about movement, finding joy in it, making it mine. If you're where I was, dreading the word exercise, convinced it's not for you, hear me out. You don't need a gym membership or a chiseled six-pack to start. Pick something that lights you up, even a little. Maybe it's dancing in your living room to your favorite playlist, hiking a trail with views that steal your breath, or just a brisk walk around the block to clear your head. Start with 5 minutes if 20 feels daunting. Heck, start with 2. Build it up bit by bit and watch what happens. The soreness fades, but the strength stays. The exhaustion turns into energy. And that first rush of, I did it, it's addictive. Habit 3, journaling. Unlocking the power of the pen. Let's dive into habit number 3, journaling. I'll be honest, before this experiment, I thought journaling was reserved for dreamy poets or people with endless free time to navel-gaze. Me? I was skeptical to my core. With a life buzzing with deadlines, errands, and chaos, who has the luxury to sit down and scribble about their day? But let me tell you, after just 1 week of committing to this habit, my entire perspective flipped upside down. Journaling didn't just sneak into my routine, it became a cornerstone of my personal growth, a quiet revolution that reshaped how I saw myself and my world. I kept it simple at first, easing into it like dipping a toe into unfamiliar waters. Every night, just before bed, I carved out 10 sacred minutes. No elaborate setup, no high-tech apps, just a plain notebook I picked up on a whim and a pen that felt right in my hand. That first night I sat there, staring at the blank page like it was a stranger daring me to speak. What was I supposed to write? I started small, a few lines about my day, what sparked a smile, what gnawed at me. It felt awkward, almost trivial. But as the days unfolded, something shifted. I wasn't just writing anymore. I was excavating. The deeper I dug, the more I uncovered. My pen became a flashlight, illuminating my goals, my fears, my wildest dreams, and even the insecurities I'd buried under layers of busyness. It was like sitting across from myself at a coffee shop, having an unfiltered, soul-bearing chat. The magic didn't hit me all at once. It crept in slowly, then roared to life. I started noticing patterns in my thoughts, little threads of worry or hope that wove through my days. Some anxieties, I realized, were ghosts I couldn't chase away, things beyond my control. Others? They were puzzles I could actually solve, and seeing them on paper gave me the courage to act. One night stands, I'd had a brutal day at work. Stress piled up like a storm cloud, dark and heavy. I grabbed my journal, not expecting much, and just let it spill out. What triggered the tension, how it twisted my stomach, what I wished I'd said or done. As the words flowed, the chaos in my head began to untangle. It wasn't just venting, it was processing. I sketched out a plan for the next time, a tiny blueprint for staying calm under pressure. When I closed the notebook, I felt lighter, clearer, like I'd reclaimed a piece of myself from the wreckage of the day. But journaling wasn't just about wrestling with the tough stuff. It was also a celebration of the small wins. I started jotting down victories, no matter how minor they seemed. Finishing a task I dreaded, nailing a tricky recipe, or simply getting through a rough morning without losing my cool. Flipping back through those pages was like unrolling a map of my progress. One entry I'll never forget was about a presentation that had me sweating bullets. I wrote about my prep, my nerves, and, eventually, how I crushed it. Reading that later wasn't just a pat on the back. It was fuel to keep going, proof I was stronger than I thought. Then there was the gratitude twist. Inspired by a fleeting whim, I added a section where I'd list 3 things I was thankful for each day. It started basic: coffee, a sunny afternoon, a good song on the radio. But it grew into something profound. This little ritual yanked my focus away from life's gaps and onto its gifts. One entry still tugs at my heart. A stranger who saw me fumbling with grocery bags in the parking lot and stepped in to help. Writing about that kindness didn't just warm me up, it lit a spark. The next day, I held the door for someone else, passing that goodness forward. Gratitude wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was a call to action. Through those nightly scribbles, I met myself in a way I never had before. My desires sharpened into focus, my fears lost their shadowy grip, and my strengths glowed brighter. Journaling turned into a kind of therapy. No couch, no cost, just me and a page, unraveling the messy, beautiful web of my mind. It was a sanctuary where I could be brutally honest, free from judgment or pretense. I'd write about silly frustrations, like spilling coffee on my shirt, or big dreams, like traveling the world, and every word felt like a step toward knowing myself better. If you've never given journaling a shot, I'm begging you to try it, just for a week. Don't overthink it. You don't need perfect prose or earth-shattering revelations. Grab a cheap notebook, a napkin, anything, and let your thoughts spill out. Recap your day, rant about an annoyance, or habit 4, mindful eating. Let's talk about habit number 4, mindful eating. This one hit me like a revelation because, honestly, I used to treat meals like a pit stop in a race. Rushed, mindless, and barely registering on my radar. Picture this. I'd scarf down a sandwich while scrolling X on my phone, or shovel pasta into my mouth with my laptop glowing in front of me, emails piling up. Food was fuel, nothing more, and I didn't even pause to consider how this chaotic approach was quietly undermining my health and happiness. That is, until I gave mindful eating a shot for 1 week, and let me tell you, it flipped my entire relationship with food upside down in the best way possible. So, what's mindful eating all about? It's not some trendy diet or rigid rulebook. It's the simple, soulful act of being fully present with your food, tuning in to every bite, every flavor, every sensation, inside and out. It's about slowing down to notice the crisp snap of a carrot, the velvety richness of a sauce, even the faint rustle of a crisp leaf of lettuce. Inspired, I committed to eating every meal with intention that week. I transformed my dining setup into a mini sanctuary, cleared the cluttered table, laid out a proper place setting, nothing fancy, just a plate and a fork, and banished all distractions. No phone buzzing, no TV blaring, no laptop humming, just me and my meal. At first, it felt almost eerie to sit there in silence, no screen to hide behind. But soon, it morphed into a soothing ritual I craved. I'd kick off each meal with a few deep, grounding breaths, inhaling calm, exhaling the day's chaos, drawing my focus to the moment. And wow, what a difference that made. Suddenly, food wasn't just something to get through. It was an experience. I started tasting things I'd overlooked for years. A humble apple revealed its juicy sweetness, each bite bursting with a brightness I'd never noticed. A handful of almonds offered a nutty depth I'd raced past 1,000 times. It was like my taste buds had woken up from a long nap, and every meal felt like a rediscovery, like tasting in Technicolor after years of black and white. But it wasn't just about flavor. Eating slowly gave my body a voice too. I'd always been the type to inhale my plate, and then wonder why I felt stuffed yet unsatisfied. Mindful eating changed that. By lingering over each bite, I tuned into my hunger and fullness cues, subtle signals I'd drowned out with my old speed-eating ways. One morning, I savored a bowl of oatmeal, letting the creamy warmth linger on my tongue, the honey's gentle sweetness unfolding bit by bit. Normally, I'd have demolished it in 3 minutes flat, but this time, I stretched it into a quiet, 15-minute meditation. When I finished, I wasn't just full. I was content, grateful even. That bowl became a tiny anchor, setting a peaceful tone for my whole day. Then there was the unexpected clarity it brought. I began noticing how food affected me beyond the plate. Greasy, processed stuff, like the late-night fries I used to crave, left me sluggish, bloated, and foggy. Meanwhile, fresh, vibrant foods, think crisp greens or a ripe mango, lifted me up, leaving me energized and light on my feet. It wasn't about guilt or restriction. It was about awareness. That shift sparked natural, effortless choices toward what truly nourished me. No willpower required. Mindful eating also peeled back the emotional layers of my habits. I'd never realized how often I reached for food out of boredom, stress, or a need for comfort, not hunger. One evening, after a long day, I felt that familiar tug toward a chocolate bar. But when I did snack, it was deliberate, a handful of walnuts because I wanted their crunch, not because I was numbing a feeling. This wasn't just about better digestion, though that improved too, less bloating, more ease. It was about reclaiming food as a source of joy and connection, not a mindless escape. One lunchtime I sat with a simple salad, bright tomatoes, tender spinach, a drizzle of olive oil, and let myself marvel at it. The colors, the freshness, the way it came from the earth to my table. It felt like a quiet thank you to my body, a moment of reverence for the nourishment I'd taken for granted. I've carried this habit far beyond that week, and I can't sing its praises enough. If you're intrigued, start small. Habit 5. Limiting screen time. Let's dive into habit number 5, limiting screen time. This one hit me hard, and I'd wager it's a battle many of you fight too. We're tethered to a digital universe, caught in an endless loop of swiping through social media, marathoning shows, or drowning in an inbox that never sleeps. For me, it was a slow realization that this constant screen glow wasn't just eating my time. It was chipping away at my mental clarity, my productivity, and even the sweet escape of restful sleep. So I drew a line in the sand and decided to experiment with some boundaries. What unfolded was nothing short of a revelation. I kicked things off with a bold move, capping non-work screen time at 1 measly hour a day. That meant no more mindless Instagram rabbit holes, no YouTube binges stretching into the wee hours, and definitely no late-night TV sessions that left me bleary-eyed. Let me tell you, those first few days were a struggle, like trying to kick a caffeine habit cold turkey. I'd grown so used to plugging every idle moment with a screen, it felt unnatural to let my hands rest empty. But I was determined to break free, and the rewards started piling up fast. The first shock? Time. I had no clue how much of my life was leaking away into that glowing abyss until I slammed the brakes on it. Suddenly, my days stretched longer, brimming with possibility. Those reclaimed hours became a playground for rediscovery. I dusted off a novel I'd been meaning to crack open for months, its pages crisp and inviting. I picked up a pencil and started doodling again. Simple sketches at first, then bolder lines as my creativity woke up. I even ventured into the kitchen, experimenting with recipes, chopping, stirring, tasting, transforming ingredients into small victories I could savor. It was like meeting an old version of myself I'd forgotten existed. One evening stands out vividly. Instead of collapsing onto the couch with the remote, I laced up my shoes and wandered into the park. The air was cool, carrying whispers of leaves rustling and birds settling in for the night. Each step felt like a reset button, washing away the dull haze screens used to drape over me. That walk wasn't just a one-off. It morphed into a ritual I craved, a sacred slice of my day where I could breathe deep and feel alive. It was a stark, beautiful contrast to the sluggish stupor I'd once accepted as normal. Sleep became another game changer. I used to drag my phone into bed like a security blanket, scrolling X or watching clips until my eyes begged for mercy. But that ritual wired me up instead of winding me down, leaving me restless and groggy come morning. Cutting screen time, especially before bed, flipped the script. I traded pixels for a new nighttime rhythm, curling up with a paperback, letting the soft rustle of pages lull me, or sitting cross-legged for a quick meditation, feeling my breath steady and slow. Sometimes just lying there, replaying the day in my mind like a gentle debrief. The result? Sleep that didn't just happen. It enveloped me, deep and restorative. I woke up with energy I hadn't felt in ages, ready to seize the day instead of stumbling into it. Then there was the mental shift, a quiet revolution in my headspace. Without the relentless flood of news alerts, the curated perfection of social media, or the ping of notifications yanking my focus, I felt lighter. Anxiety that once buzzed under the surface started to fade. I showed up fully for conversations. No more half listening while my thumb flicked a screen. I noticed the people around me, their expressions, their laughter, in ways I'd been too distracted to catch before. My daily tasks got my full attention too, each one sharper, more deliberate. It was as if a fog had rolled out, leaving behind a crisp, vivid world I'd been missing. One afternoon sealed the deal. I escaped to a little cafe, armed with nothing but a notebook and a pen. No phone, no laptop, just me and my thoughts. I scribbled ideas, sketched out dreams, and jotted down goals I'd been too scattered to chase. The clink of coffee cups and murmur of voices became a soothing backdrop to a rare, uninterrupted flow. I left that table feeling grounded, tethered to myself and my surroundings in a way screens had always kept just out of reach. Sure, I stumbled now and then. Old habits die hard. My hand would twitch toward my phone, muscle memory kicking in during a quiet moment. But each time I'd pause, breathe, and remind myself of the payoff. More time, better rest, a clearer mind. I'd pivot to something real, a chat with a friend, a stretch by the window, and the temptation would dissolve. Limiting screen time isn't about swearing off tech forever. It's about wrestling back control, carving out space for what matters. If you're feeling swamped or detached, give it a shot. Start small, trim an hour off your screen tally, and build from there. Pour that freed up time into yourself. Call someone you love, step outside, or just sit with your thoughts. You'll be amazed at how life blooms when you unplug from the digital hum and plug into the world waiting beyond it. For me, this habit didn't just tweak my routine. It handed me back the reins to my days, and I'm never letting go. Well, there you have it, everyone. Our incredible journey through the 7 habits that turned my life upside down in just 1 week has come to a close. Honestly, this experience has been nothing short of extraordinary. Not only because of the transformation I've lived through, but because I've had the privilege of sharing it with all of you. These habits aren't just ideas on a page. They're practical, life-altering tools that have the power to spark real, meaningful change. And here's the best part. If they worked for someone like me, someone who used to stumble through chaotic mornings and endless excuses, I'm absolutely convinced they can work for you too. So, where do you go from here? If even one of these habits sparked a little curiosity or excitement in you, I'm begging you, give it a try. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start small. Pick just one habit that resonates with you and dip your toes in. Maybe it's waking up 15 minutes earlier, scribbling a few thoughts in a journal, or savoring a meal without distractions. See how it feels, tweak it to fit your unique rhythm, and watch how it grows. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about embracing progress. Those tiny, intentional steps, they're the secret sauce that builds into massive, life-changing shifts over time. I'd love to hear from you. Seriously, your stories light up my day. Drop a comment below and tell me. Which habit are you thinking of trying first? What's holding you back, or what's got you pumped to start? If you've got questions about how to make these work for you, ask away. Your experiences, your wins, your struggles, they're what make this community so vibrant and inspiring. Let's cheer each other on as we grow together. Oh, and if this journey resonated with you, if it gave you a nudge toward a better version of yourself, please hit that like button, subscribe, and tap that notification bell. We've got a treasure trove of insights, tips, and real talk coming your way, and I'd hate for you to miss a single moment of it. Better yet, share this with a friend, a family member, or even that coworker who's always talking about wanting a fresh start. You never know. These habits might just be the push they need to unlock something amazing in their own lives. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this ride. Let's keep the momentum going. Small changes, big results, one day at a time. Together we can transform our everyday routines into powerful stepping stones toward the lives we've always dreamed of. So, what are you waiting for? Pick a habit, take that first step, and let's make magic happen. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep shining, keep growing, and stay absolutely awesome.